Well, it's interesting that you bring up that rally. The title of that rally on the steps of Victorian Parliament House was "Let Women Speak," and it's essentially about, this is right up your alley, Kel, it's about the meaning of the word woman. Isn't that the most weaponised word these days?
Yes. Oh, look, I do not understand anyone who wants to turn around and tell me reality is not binary. One of the things language has to do, language must connect with reality. And we know that we have genomes. We have 46 genomes. They're in pairs. The final pair, the 23rd pair, are called the gender-determining pair. And there's only two options, XX or XY. That's it. Two options. That's binary. When reality is binary, language has to be binary because it has to reflect it. Now, that's when people keep saying they're non-binary, I keep thinking, you don't even know what the language means. Not only do you not know any biological science, you don't know what the language means. There are two options, and there are only two options.
I think you can divide the world into two groups, those who believe in binary and those who don't. Now, when you use the word...
Can I just say, us linguists have been saying for years you can divide the world into two groups. Those who divide people into two groups and those who don't.
You said the word notorious had been misused recently, and what you were referring to was its use in newspapers and in broadcasting. Seems like some of the culprits in this weaponising of words are journalists, and journalists should be objective and accurate with the words they use. Are they the worst culprits? Are they the main culprits in all this weaponising, Kel?
When it comes to journalists, I don't want to sound as though I've joined Prince Harry's team and I'm attacking the press, right? I don't want to be on that particular team. But there is a problem with young journalists who haven't worked out that their job, they can either be a journalist or an activist. If you're a journalist whose job is to do an opinion, then do commentary and do opinion. But if your job is to report, then somehow or other, you need to find a balanced way to do that beyond your own beliefs, beyond your own ideology, beyond what you think. The ABC is the classic case where I joined the ABC a long, long time ago. So long ago, dinosaurs were roaming the streets. I mean, it was a while ago. And when we were inducted into the ABC, the induction course said, ABC staff do not express opinions. And so much so that we had two opinion pieces that we made. I was in Radio Current Affairs, one of them called Notes on the News and one called News Commentary. And we used to get academics in to do them because we were not allowed to do them. They were not to be done by staff. Now, ABC staff express opinions. Now, they've switched from being the kind of taxpayer-funded journalists they're meant to being activists. That's wrong.
Earlier in the show, I spoke to Rebecca Weiser about the World Health Organization. I'm going to ask you a question off the top of my head here because I think we might be onto something here. The word pandemic, Kel, do you think that is being redefined in this day and age?
I'm not sure that it's being redefined. A disease is endemic when it exists in an area. It's epidemic when it spreads out to a lot of areas, and it's pandemic when it basically goes everywhere, from pan meaning all. Now, that's the meaning of the word. Because we live in an age of air travel, COVID did travel around the world, so technically it was a pandemic. The problem was that it was overused. It was used to the point where you realise people using it were saying, how can we frighten these people? How can we make them feel a bit more frightened, a bit more uncertain? We'll just keep using the word again and again and again. That was the problem. I don't know that it was misused. Technically speaking, if you compare something which is endemic, epidemic and pandemic, it was being used correctly, but it was just used to the point where people were terrified.
Kel, you might say the word's been weaponised.
Yes, that's pretty much the category.
Kel Richards, thanks so much for coming on Spectator TV.
My pleasure.
To read about all these stories and more, why don't you subscribe to The Spectator? Head over to spectator.com.au, click subscribe.